Hey guys, John here. Today we're looking at Bitwig Studio's Sculpt EQ, and Bitwig defines the Sculpt EQ as component modeled EQP1 with color options and stereo mid-side separation. Now, I personally think this EQ sounds exceptionally good, and for today's demonstration, we have a sequence made in Avenger 2 and a very simple drum groove made in Falcon. So we're going to use the Sculpt EQ on the drums to get some low-end punch and some clarity in the snare and the hat. But before we do that, let's go over the controls so we know how everything works. So this EQ has three different bands. We have a low band, we have a mid band, and we have a high band. Now the low band can target frequencies from 20 Hz to 30 Hz to 60 Hz and then to 100 Hz. And the first knob that we see down here is called boost, and this is obviously going to boost the signal at the frequency that we choose. So for now, let's solo the drums and take a listen to 60 Hz as we boost the signal. And when we adjusted this knob, we can see this graph down here will update as well. And this is very useful to visually see the changes that we're going to be making to the signal. And if you don't already know, it's a common trick to also increase the attenuation knob as we boost. So let's take a look at that real quick. Now, the cool part about doing this is that we get that rich low-end boost that we want, while the attenuation knob will bring down some of that mud in the low mids that maybe we don't want. Now, the next band that we have is the mid band, and this can go from 3K to 4K, 5K, 8K, 10K, 12K, and 16K. We also have a boost knob as well as a bandwidth control labeled peak. Now, if we boost our selected frequency, we can see the graph update to the changes that we made. Now, as we move this peak control to the left, our boost will begin to narrow, and if we move it to the right, the boost will widen. And our last band is the high band, and here we can only attenuate the signal at the target frequency, which those are going to be 5K, 10K, and 20K. Now, this band can be useful to remove noise or really high-pitched hiss inside the signal, or to simply darken it up just a bit. Now, similar to the Focus EQ, we have three different colors or characters this EQ can operate under. The Bitwig Interactive Manual defines these modes as clean, which is this first one here, minimal saturation applied, and then we have tube, all harmonic warmth from organic saturation behavior, and then finally we have transistor, odd harmonic emphasis with distinctive mid-range drive, and we also have stereo and mid-side processing we can access inside the inspector panel. Okay, so from a default preset, let's start using this EQ and improve the sound of our drums just a little bit here. Okay, so that sounds pretty good to me. We have some nice punchy low end, and especially here in this mid band, I like the 5K because it really kind of brings the snare out. It kind of makes the snare pop a little bit more. But then if we go to 8 or 10K, it brings out a lot of the hi-hat sounds, and it kind of makes it a little bit more crispy sounding, so to speak. Now, I didn't feel like I had to use the high band because I didn't feel like I needed to attenuate anything there. Now, what I also like about this EQ is even though we can go down here to 30, which is substantially low, we also get a nice punch to it as well. So let's take a listen to 30 Hertz. Okay, so now if we muted this ARP and just listen to the drums by themselves. And let's bypass. And 60 Hertz. Now, I like them both. I think I might be a little bit more partial to the 30 Hertz, but that's really up to you. Now, let's check out some of these different modes as well. So let's listen again on clean. Now, tube. transistor. Clean. Tube. Transistor. Now these are all interesting. I still think my personal favorite is going to be this tube. So let's take a listen to this as well inside the mix here. Alright guys, that wraps up this video about the Sculpt EQ. It's simple to use and sounds fantastic. I highly recommend for you to try it out yourselves on your own material and see what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next device video.